Some dang old YouTubers again. What's up, everybody? It's Bear with BearIndependent.com. I got which, by the way, I have to say this, otherwise my wife will get mad at me. And you know, happy wife, happy life. If you want a bear sticker, there. You want a bear patch, there. You want bear t-shirts, there. You want bear thumb drives with the Prepper Classroom, they're there. If you want bear facts, you can get them there. You can get them at Adventure Frontier as well, adventurefrontier.com. All the things. Prisons. I got an email from a guy named Adam. I won't OPSEC you, Adam. And he said, Bear, when you were looking for land so that you could sit underneath your immature hackberry tree next to your pile of mature chainsaw milled loblolly pine boards and pontificate to the internet, when you were looking for land to do that, did you consider, as part of your population density equation, prisons? And if so, how did that factor in? And then follow-up question, what about small towns that have police departments and sheriff's departments that have holding cells? Post SHTF, what happens to those people? Well, I've never been in law enforcement. And having never been in law enforcement, take everything I say with a grain of salt about what law enforcement could or would or will do. But as for me and population density in prisons, yes, I did look into that. And that's part of doing an area study. Not just where you live, but where you want to live. Now, certain people are called to certain regions of the planet and they just go there because the Father calls them there. And I don't knock that one bit. But I don't think that's the case for everybody. It's certainly the case for some. We were called here. But even being called here, we still did homework. Brown County, Indiana. What does that say? Escape comes naturally. And so we were called here. We still did an area study. You should do an area study. You need to know what is around you. The people that are currently behaving badly, that will almost entirely likely continue to behave badly after the balloon goes up, and the people that have the potential to behave badly, what your disruptive threats are. For example, your number one disruptive threat is a grid down situation. I've actually been going into that quite a bit on Patreon lately. Did a whole video about it. Grid down disruptive threats, because society is dependent upon the flow of electrons, right? Cool, you want to pump sewage, you need electricity. You want to pump water, you need electricity. You want to purify water on a large scale, need electricity. Emergency medical services, electricity. Commo, electricity. Heat, in a lot of cases, electricity. Fuel and fuel logistics, electricity. Medical, electricity. Food storage, in a lot of cases, electricity. Right, so disruptive threats. Disruptive threats create regular and irregular threats, have the potential to create, but likely will create regular and irregular threats. And part of that irregular threat could be a prison, that the prison population becomes uproarious. Yes, that is the word of the day, uproarious. Or the guards simply walk away because the situation in society is so dire that they can no longer man their posts and they have to go home and do what they need to do. Don't blame them for that one bit. Now, what happens if you have a bunch of folks locked inside a prison? Well, I think a lot of people like to default to, well, there are a bunch of, pedophiles and murderers and rapists, and it's going to devolve into a cesspool of humanity pretty quickly. Yeah, there's also people in there for, less serious crimes. Do we want to... Where do we draw the line on valuing life? That's an interesting question. For me, if you're raping little kids, I've got the medicine to cure you. And it looks a lot like that. But I'm not in charge of how we cure pedophile rapists. Bear for President 2024. However, where do we draw the line on what's an acceptable loss of life? Well, that's a societal question based upon Judeo-Christian values, isn't it? You know what some of those Judeo-Christian values are? As you read the Old Testament, when you have an abomination in your midst, you take it outside of the gate and stone it to death. Yeah, there's a lot of abominations in our prison system. So what happens after that, I don't know. But it's possible. Anything is possible. It's possible that those people, prison folk, make it from where they are in the prison to your neighborhood. If you're, shut up, Rooster, if you're near a prison. If you're not near a prison, much less likely to happen. Exhibit A. Now, that being said, we had recently, within the last calendar year, there was an escaped convict that was on the run, that stole a car, that somehow got, somebody tried a pit maneuver, and he took off on foot, and they weren't able to catch him. And so he was on foot, and he was picked up about a mile from here. And you know what the plan is in that scenario? Especially if it's post-SHTF, we had a watch posted. And we had clear rules of engagement. Trespassing is trespassing. Trespassing is trespassing. Rule of law, or especially without rule of law. Now or post-SHTF, trespassing is trespassing. And this is important to note as well. The idea that we will be without rule of law for any extended period of time can be quite troublesome, because sooner or later, if you transgress what are the widely accepted rules and laws in your area of the world, you will pay for it. Whether it's a kangaroo court or it's the local magistrate, which is really Billy Bob and his 14 cousins who have appointed themselves as the law in town now, or there is a return to normalcy, and you get circuit courts back up or whatever. Sooner or later, if you transgress what is right now considered the overall accepted laws of your region, you'll pay for it. So right now, if it's not legal for you to shoot a trespasser, but you shoot trespassers in SHTF, man, you might have to face the wrath of an angry judge because you shot trespassers. Around here, you shoot trespassers, rule of law today, and they're like, hell, he's on your side of the property line. Did you warn him? Yep. All right, then. Here, sign this piece of paper. So, in SHTF, you should have a watch posted. And in order to post an effective watch, you need more than one person. You need more than 3 people or 4 people. You need a group, which most people don't like hearing, but you need a group. And I think you guys know by now that I am a proponent of the group. You need a group. So, yes, you should be aware of where prisons are. You should factor that into your land buying. How far away is far away enough? How far away is too close? There is not a prison within 50 miles of where I am. Possibly more, but definitely not within 50 miles of where I am. And if there was, we'd have a plan for it. You also have to think about access. Getting to where I am on a good day right now using Google Maps, it's not terribly easy. That people drive past our driveway all the time if they can find the road that it's on. So when you get into possible versus probable, it is possible here for, the golden horde of former prisoners to come traipsing down my dirt road and decide they're going to take all of our stuff. But it's not very likely. It's not very probable. Luckily, the chickens are all going to make some noise now, which is cool. Maybe we'll get to give one a case of lead poisoning, as if it's not convenient. Gosh, I hate those things. My wife has a chicken addiction. Just completely derails my train of thought. Now, moving on to small towns. Sheriff's Department, Police Department. I don't know. If you've read the prepper fiction series Going Home by Angry American, they deal with that a little bit in that book about having a sheriff and jail and a work detail to straighten people out, and people who are stealing, they make them work it off, and so forth and so on. And I think those are all good ideas. They also shoot people in the face that need to get shot in the face in that book. Now, granted, it's a book. I think a lot of people talk a huge game about pulling the trigger on somebody else without having... They definitely don't understand it here, and I could guarantee they don't get it here. But so really, all of this comes back to you need an area study. You need actionable intel for your area. You're asking these questions because you don't know what's going on in your area or the area you want to move to. This cacophony of chicken noises is unacceptable. Wouldn't you agree, Internet? I actually got an email from guys like, Bear, I miss you walking around being angry at chickens. You're welcome, question mark. So, Forward Observer channel has a series, I believe it's called How an Intelligence Officer or Intelligence Analyst Prepares for SHTF. Look that up. And there's several multi-part series on how to put together an area study there. Now, we do area studies at Prosperity, and so based upon the info that there's nothing that he knows how to do that we don't know how to do. He presents it well in those videos. So if you want to do your own, watch those videos and he walks you through how to do that. If you don't, shoot me an email and we'll put together an area study for you. But you need to know that. You need to know what's going on in your area. And then as far as dealing with it, it's the same as dealing with anybody else. Trespassing is trespassing. If you pose a threat to me, you will be dealt with. So it comes back to that. Don't pose a threat to me. What if there's 600 of them walking down your road? You live on the wrong road. That will never happen here. Never. There'd be 582 bodies along the side of the road before the 18 that were left even made it to where we were. And not because they got shot, because of starvation and dehydration. So, that's my thought on SHTF and prisons. I know it's easy to get spun up about that. We don't get spun up easily here. Logical. Not just possibility, but probability. How probable is it? Low, where I am, and it should be low where you are too. And if it's not low, you're in the wrong place. And I get it. Bear, you don't understand. I just can't move. And you're right, you can't. If you don't think you can, you're absolutely right. Not a snowball's chance in hell of you ever getting your ass in gear and leaving. You're absolutely right. But other than that, we're just dealing with excuses. How do I know? We moved here with a toddler and an 80-year-old. And 2 bigger kids. for cash. And we're not rich. It can be done. Shalom, y'all.